Hey traders, David Frost, My Strategic Forecast. You're here for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. Today is Wednesday, November 20, 2024. We're looking at a daily chart of the SPY or Spider, which is the proxy for the S&P 500. What do we have on the docket today? Well, the big picture is she's still making the bearish, flaggish type of situation, riding the 20-period moving average. And you can see Mrs. Market is in somewhat of a range, testing the bottom end of the range today and going back to finish at the top end of the range. Now, finishing at the top end of the range is by itself a bullish signal. It doesn't guarantee there's going to be follow through to the upside tomorrow, but, and there's always a but wait, there's more. Yesterday, she closed above this breakdown candle high, had a dip today, closed back below it by the end of the day, even to close above yesterday's high. So closed above the breakdown candle high yesterday on Tuesday, closed above it again on Wednesday. That is, again, by itself, a bullish signal, notwithstanding the fact that she went right down today, tested the lows, but ricocheted right back up. One of two things is going to happen. Either there's going to be a gap filled here on the upside or a gap filled over here on the downside out of this bearish, flaggish pattern. The pattern either fails and they fill the gap on the upside, or the pattern holds and they fill the gap on the downside down here at 476.70. Write that down. Put it on a sticky note. Little housekeeping item for those of you that signed up for the MSF Insider Masterclass starting this Saturday. If you didn't receive the email with the link to log in, please email me accordingly and I will send you manually the link. Some of these emails, for whatever reason, go into spam or a promotions tab, or they go into the black hole. I don't know why that happens. I don't know what happens. If you signed up and you didn't get it, email me accordingly, please. MSF Insider Masterclass. It's this one here. It's technical foundation, the root of all numbers, morning gaps, psych ward, market psychology, pre-market routines, cycles, trading, investing, and more trading. We're going to talk about day trading, swing trading, intermediate trading, position trading, all that stuff. We're calling it the David Frost Dater Dump, giving you everything I've got. Back to the spiders. So again, bearish flaggish pattern, trend line, gap. On the upside, they're going to fill the gap, test the trend line. We're getting into a traditionally seasonal bullish period of time in and around Thanksgiving. And then, of course, we have the Christmas New Year holiday. But Thanksgiving week tends to be lighter volume, lower participation. Don't be surprised if we see the market float up during Thanksgiving week. Doesn't have to happen. It's not a guarantee. Just going by what normally happens, that does not, underline not, mean every single time. No material change on the weekly chart. We'll have to wait for the weekly chart to close on Friday to get a further assessment of what's going on there. We were in an on-time type of situation on the weekly chart, and we did have a down week last week, so that is working, ing and italics, working out the way it was prescribed. It's hump day already, and we come out with the early pivot. 591.05 is the early pivot. Let's go see what happened around 591.05. Candle closes, opens the door into no man's land for a bullish scenario and another leg higher, 591.05. So right of the vertical is today's activity, and you can see they were close early in the morning, fell all the way away, and climbed all the way back to get close to the pivot. But wait, there's more. What if I go to the extended hour session, and you can see, we'll give a 15-minute chart here, and you could see. Still right of the vertical is today's activity. This is 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning. Over here, this was earlier in the morning, 4:15. Then they did it again around 8 o'clock in the morning. Then they fell away and they almost came back at the end of the day. But they did the same thing yesterday on the downside with my objective to buy yesterday. They did it in the pre-market, the thieves in the pre-market. Today, the same routine. On the flip side, it was like the mirror image of yesterday. Today, they came to run a test of the place in the pre-market. The pre-market thieves did on the upside, and then they fell away only to try and get back there by the end of the day. Pretty interesting stuff when you think about the last 2 days, early in the morning, what happened. So today I had an early support zone between 588.85 and 587.75. Now here's a 5-minute chart. Right of the vertical is today's activity, and you can see here when they came into the zone this morning, generally speaking, we're looking for a bounce back in the other direction, back up this way. That didn't happen today. They hovered. We talked about it in real time in the live room. They were eating time off the clock, and they're going to make a decision. They're either going to go back in the other direction, or they're eating time off the clock to make another leg lower, which they did. We had another number. Plenty of traders were able to participate from 585 down here, but they stayed here for about 15, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden the writing became on the wall. They went to a secondary place. They bounced from the secondary place, and we definitely had traders take longs from the secondary place. And also, there were surely some traders that had to take a loss up here, but got it back when they got in at 584. Sorry, 585. My bad. The life of a trader can't be right 100% of the time, but we get them right the large majority of the time. This morning, we just didn't get that crisp bounce from the first support area put on the board at 0 dark 30. Here's a snapshot of the Qs from an intraday perspective. Why do I bring up the Qs in these numbers? 499.40, 497.40. Here's your table of markets, 499.40 in the Qs, and here's 497.40. Same routine on Camp IWM, 228.35, 228.35. These numbers are on the board at 0 dark 30. Therefore, inside the number members and live room members for your viewing pleasure. Pause the video, read the notes, go back to the chart, and double check the work. It's all in here. I highlighted a few important things, the numbers that mattered. What I urge you to do is read the notes, pause the video, and go back to the charts to double check the work. We had 2 stocks on the move today. They both hit their entry objectives. We're going to take a look at Target and DG. The number on the board in Target was 122.92. They came into it and they basically hovered around it all day. Never really gave you the bounce back in the other direction. Never really went much lower. That was the number. They were kind of drawn to it like a magnet, and they stuck all day. No harm, no foul for Target. The takeaway is the numbers work. DG 72.56. This one classified as the manner in which they came close. They gave you a base hit early in the morning, then came into it, hovered around, then they rallied later in the day. Takeaway is the numbers work. For this one, from a day trading perspective, it falls into the manner in which category. What's going on over in Camp IWM from a daily chart perspective? Got a little hint of follow through. Came to back test the 20 period moving average right here, ricocheted off of it, finished on high of days. That's a bullish signal. So that's a retest and a recovery. Again, we have this former breakout area, yesterday's reversal, on-time situation. This is a classic chart setup. Write this one down, put it on the sticky notes. We're going to be teaching all kinds of stuff like this in the new MSF Insiders Masterclass. How you doing? What about the folks down at the transportation department? Leaked a little bit, down $26. Basically 0.15%. We're not going to make a federal case out of that. They're creeping into the 20-period moving average, which isn't that far from a big-time breakup candle low. So we're going to call this general area. support until or unless they break below, and then it opens the door for the gap down here. The gap is officially at 16,571 and change. No material change from Team Transports from yesterday's chart and activity. What about the Q people? Very similar setup to the SPY. They're eating the same amount of time off the clock. They did the same thing today with the dipsy doodle to teps to lows. Then they finished pretty much on or near the top of day, creating a scenario where we could certainly take a bullish takeaway from this. Anytime the market dips lower and finishes near the high of day on its face, that's not a bearish, but is absolutely leaning toward a bullish scenario. Doesn't guarantee we have follow through tomorrow, but is a bullish scenario. The financial space still eating time off the clock, little bit down today, 0.33%, but they're still above all the moving averages. Trend is your friend, going sideways, eating time off the clock, building energy for another move higher. And again, with this market, like many others, today nothing really changed. No material change on the tape. Now, before we get over to the semi-space, the SMH or smash mouth, might as well take a look at NVIDIA. Since they reported earnings after the bell, you go to the extended hours and they're hitting them a little bit. We had a number or a zone in the live room that we talked about for 2 days that traders would be willing to step in at. They're not there yet, but we'll see what happens by later or tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning, there's a pretty fair chance that this one's going to be on the list of stocks on the move. We already have done the work. We have the numbers. Now it's a matter of patience and waiting for them to hit the number. Smash mouth, no material change on the chart. Dipsy doodle today, back up a little bit, but they're making a bearish flaggish pattern under 3 out of the 4 moving averages. Can also look at it as they're making a bearish flaggish pattern right above the 20-period moving average. Are they building energy to go through the 20 for another leg lower? 200-period moving average down here, building energy to go lower yet again. This is, in fact, a canary in the coal mine as it relates to the tech space. Depending on what happens with NVIDIA by tomorrow morning, it should be an interesting day in the semi space, the tech space, other semis. We should get some volatility and action on Thursday. Hey, have I told you how much I appreciate each and every one of you? Without you, these videos are not possible. That is true and accurate information. We're pulling the ripcord here today. I'm David Frost, My Strategic Forecast. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis.